All right, here we go. Should we start? Should we start the count up, guys?
Yeah.
All right, 29, 32. Good morning, good afternoon, sellers. We'll wait a few minutes for everybody to join. We're watching the popcorn pop.
Oh, look at that. That went right up into the 50s. That
I
was
know.
fast.
I hope everyone's doing well.
All
I
right.
love Zoom. I love the webinar functionality. I just hate that we can't see you, sellers, but I'm picturing you in my mind. Oh, we have a question already. Oh, good afternoon. All right, Patty, good afternoon.
Hey, Patty. Hope all is good in Miami.
Mhm. All right, very warm, yeah. Harry
Very
was just
cold here.
complaining about the weather in New Jersey.
Hey, David. It is cold here in New Jersey, isn't it?
Hey, Betsy. All right, I'm gonna see if we can hit, or do I hear 90? Do I hear 90 participants? Going once. All right, well, I think we'll get started. Hopefully more folks join. The more, the merrier. Oh, wow, we have Howdy from Arkansas. I love it. All right, so let me close out all your comments for now so I can concentrate and talk to you directly into the camera. So welcome. Thank you for joining the second live seller check-in here. Again, thank you for taking the time out of your day. We know you're busy. We know, you have a lot going on in your world, I'm sure professionally and personally. So it means a lot to us for you to join us here today and be with us. As we did last time, we really want to keep this, as you can tell, casual, super interactive. We want to be as transparent as possible. So we loved the vibe from last time. We got feedback that you guys loved it as well. So we are going to follow that same recipe and do that again. So please keep the questions coming, or the friendly comments. Those are welcome too. Please use the Q&A for your questions. We don't have the chat live for you. We want all the questions in the Q&A so everybody can see them and everybody can benefit from the answers. And we'll still have plenty of time at the end to continue to answer questions. And if we don't get to all them, we will send out answers post this seller check-in. Let's see, we have our kind of usual suspects plus some additional special guests with us today. So we have Harry joining us, and he's going to give us an update on product. We have Alyssa Cutright here, who is going to give us an update on payments and all the exciting things happening with payments as we head into the remainder of 2020. And Jordan is going to round us out and give a quick update. A lot of what you probably have seen in his latest blog posts and seller news announcements on the business, what we're doing to drive traffic, what we're doing in marketing, what's trending, and just fill you in the general business overall, and what we're looking forward to, like I said, in the back half of the year. So for me, first of all, just thank you again. I have a few housekeeping things. I want to remind everybody about our extension of the zero insertion fee promo, which is now extended through the end of July. So we wanted to give everybody more time. Please share that with your followers and your friends. We have some really exciting stuff coming up in the next few weeks. We really want to do a webinar and some education for our sellers. Many of you know how to do this beautifully already, but we really want to get some more education out there on how to drive traffic to your listings. We're going to be launching some exciting news of our EPN program, the eBay Partner Network or affiliate program, in the coming weeks. We're also going to be focusing on Google Shopping and all the things you need to do to make sure you show up there. And Harry will touch on a few of those today. So we have some really exciting webinars and tutorials coming up, and a lot of fun, exciting events on the horizon. The upfronts, as I said, we're working on the virtual plans for those. And then come September, you all know this, we are hitting our big milestone of our 25th anniversary. So we have big plans in place. I just sent out a news announcement, a few minutes ago, about sharing your stories. right? We want to create a great web series of seller stories over the past 25 years. So take a look at that announcement. Head to ebay.com/your story and please submit your story. We want to feature it and we want to celebrate with you and celebrate you the 25 years of eBay's existence. So a lot of great things coming up. I enjoy talking to you all. I think Mondays have been dubbed Marnie Mondays, so thank you, Kathy. I guess it's slightly better than a Manic Monday, but I'll take it, and I can't wait to continue to come to you in your homes or in your offices or in your backyards, wherever you may be right now. So with that, I will hand it off to Harry to give a quick update on product.
Awesome. There we go. I was on mute. Awesome. Hello, sellers. Great to be back with you guys. I wish we were at an upfront, but this will have to do. But this worked really, really well last time. So I'm just going to do a quick recap of some of the things I did talk about last time, some things that we've launched since then, and some quick reminders of just, you know, sort of the important things you need to do with respect to the quality of your listing, what we call the perfect listing. But I want to leave most of the time for Alyssa, obviously, and Jordan. So first up, I want to talk about using data, right? Particularly with Terapeak and traffic reports. I want to start with traffic reports because we just did an update very recently, which many of you have seen and already commented in the Facebook rooms, which is the traffic page has been updated to be real time now. So prior to that, as you all know, it was about 4 to 5 days delayed in putting data in there. We've upgraded the back-end database, which is now giving us full real-time analytics, including intraday, which is obviously incredibly powerful. It does that for both organic and promoted listings. And it's also showing traffic that is coming in externally. And I know a big request from all of you guys is that you'd love to see the breakdown of that traffic, where it's coming from. And it's certainly on the slate. It's just on the slate for later this year. I think the big thing for us was being able to upgrade the back-end database so we could start doing more improved analytics and doing things in real time. And that's what you see here. So again, it's enabling you to see the power of promoted listings. So traffic impressions from your promoted listings, as well as your organic listings, and it's doing that in real time now. Let me just now switch to Terapeak and remind everybody that, of course, Terapeak is completely built in and is native to Seller Hub now, right? We have turned off the old standalone site, and its data is also real time. So being in Seller Hub gives you real-time access. And I want to remind you, it's not just historical data for an entire year, but it also now has active listings. And that's really important. Getting the right price on your listing is key. This will enable you to look at how listings have sold, whether it's the last 7, 30, 90, or up to a full year. And then also look at active listings and how they're competitively priced right now. So that's really, really important. We've also updated the charting, which is showing average sales price charts, items sold. And we've included the market share report, which is showing how concentrated the sales are across sellers. So that is key as well. Now, some of the things that you're going to see up and coming over the next couple of months, we've already rolled out to some of you who are whitelisted. You'll have seen the new, what we call the SIM module, which is the new price guidance module built directly into the listing flow. So it's now using the Terapeak content in there, giving you a quick summary window. And then with a single click, it will actually open up a pop-up window that is the full Terapeak service. So you really don't even have to navigate out of your listing flow to do competitive analytics or price analytics by having to go over to the research tab. You're going to be able to do that directly from the listing flow. And again, some of you already have it, and that'll be rolled out again to all of our users over the next several months. Another huge important update to Terapeak that will be coming with the work that we've already been doing with item specifics in the listing flow is to make Terapeak available when it searches to item specifics as well. Right now, it only searches on the words in the title. So when you want to do specific searches, say on a sneaker size of 11.5, that actually has to be in the title for it to be returned in the analysis. Going forward, again, in the next couple of months, Terapeak will also now use item specifics, and you'll be able to filter on item specifics. So your searches will be much more granular than they are today and return a much wider set of information, a much deeper set of listings than it can do today. So that's a couple of updates on Terapeak and traffic reports. Let's talk about MUA, multi-user account access. So particularly in this time, you may need assistance, right, in running your business. And there may be also a lot of people out there that are looking for additional work who can help with your listings. And this feature makes it incredibly easy to do that, because you can give specific access, not your entire account access, to someone else to help in managing your business. Now, when we originally launched MUA, it enabled you to give access to someone to either create drafts or to do full listings. And in the latest updates, we have made it so that it is the first stage of engaging orders. So now someone can view what orders are in queue to be shipped. In other words, they can help basically pick and pack that stuff. They can't print the label yet, but at least they can do the packaging for you, and then you can print the label and have it shipped off. So someone to help with that. And we've also been able to add Terapeak into MUA, which means that now you can have someone assist when they're drafting a listing. They can also go do and help with the price guidance. So they can have access to the Terapeak content through MUA as well. So those are two new significant enhancements. The perfect listing. We talk a lot about item specifics, right? These are critical, particularly when buyers are using the left-hand navigation filters. If you don't provide item specifics, your listing is not going to show up in those filters. And it's also really important with respect to Google Shopping. Google Shopping wants certain item specifics, particularly gender, if age is available, but size, brand. Those things are key in helping get those listings out to Google Shopping. Now, I'll come back to, well, let me talk about image cleanup as well, super quick, because it also relates to the quality of the listing, how it impacts our search as well as Google Shopping. Google Shopping wants white backgrounds. It's not a requirement, but you need to recognize that they really want a clean background. If you have any text, you have watermarks on the photo, you have promotions on the photo, it's going to be rejected by Google Shopping. That's why having a clean white background is really, really important. On eBay, it's also important because a lot of our buyers are using image search. And when they use image search, having a clean white background aids in returning that listing as part of that search. So a couple of really important reasons why you want to use the image cleanup service. And again, both in iOS and Android, it's one click away, super easy to engage it, and it works incredibly well. It literally will remove all of that stuff going on in the background, whether it's a staircase, it's a brown door, it could even be grass sometimes, as our friends at Rally Root showed us. So it makes it really, really easy. Stepping back real quick to item specifics, a couple of really important changes that we have done and are up and coming. You will notice now in the listing flows that all of the item specifics are now ranked by their buyer demand data. So this is really important. We're basically elevating to the top of the item specific section, effectively the most important item specifics to a buyer. So we recognize there are a lot of item specifics that we're asking you to give us. We've already rebucketed them into a required section, the most important, the recommended section, which again is the most frequent ones buyers are using to look for your item, and then the optional section. What this is basically doing is saying to you, look, we want your time spent efficiently when listing. If you can only give us a certain amount of time, give us these item specifics. These are the most important ones. And we're going to give you that buyer demand data. All right. Now, what's up and coming? One of the things that we're going to do is when we see there's high buyer demand data for an item specific that is currently sitting in the optional bucket, we're going to automatically elevate it to the recommended bucket. So again, the most important ones will be at the top. We also learned a lot from our October launch of item specifics. And so what we've done is we've made another section that's going to actually show you the soon to be required item specifics. And this is going to come in super handy because we're going to put them there at least 60 days before we make a recommended item specific into a required one. And again, it's going to show you it has high buyer demand data. So the likelihood that you've given it to us already is high, but we at least want to show you and give you plenty of time without having to leave the listing flow, which item specifics are going to become required. I also noted that when we change an item specific, we're going to copy all of the data for you on a renewal. So on a GTC, fixed price listing, every 30 days it renews. And when it does that, if we have changed an item specific, from one name to another, we'll do all of that for you. So that field won't be blank anymore. It'll be super easy. And as we've said in the past, we will never do that and make it required at the same time. That's never going to happen again. All right. And then finally, we're going to be able to, in a post-list environment, in active listings, alert you to when you are missing these kinds of item specifics, whether they're soon to be required, some of the highest ranked BDD recommended aspects. The product will now tell you those ones that you're missing so you can improve the quality of your listing very, very easily. We're also going to provide you an Excel spreadsheet in a couple of months that makes it super easy to edit all of these item specifics in bulk. It'll have all the BDD data, all the values, and again, you can use all the functionality of Excel and do all of your editing there, which will make it incredibly, incredibly easy. So that is a little bit of an update on item specifics. Let me finish up with seller-initiated offers. Now, seller-initiated offers have been one of the fastest growing tools on the platform. We are, or I should say you are, sending well over 1.6 million SIOs a day. The acceptance rate is incredibly high, so it's been an incredible tool for conversion. What are we doing next with SIO? I mentioned last time that we had expanded its eligibility by enabling listings when a buyer has heavily browsed your listing. That is, they've clicked on the listing multiple times within a short period of time. We added it and made it eligible when when a buyer has added it to their shopping cart but had not checked out yet. And now what we're going to do is we're going to increase the watch eligibility. We started at 10 watchers, we've gone to 20, and now we're going to take it to 40 over the next month. We recently added it to the task list, and we made it a suggested action in Seller Hub, which was tremendous. And the final thing that'll be coming, which I think is really important to many of you, is the tiered discount capability. Right now, there is a minimum threshold of 5% when you are sending an SIO. And we recognize that for higher priced items, $300 or $400 sneakers, let's say, like my son sells, he could not send an SIO less than 5%. So now, as the prices, the ranges go, as you get into higher ranges of prices, the minimum discount level will reduce. So it'll go down to 4% and then to 3%. So this will, again, open up eligibility and make it easier for you to send an offer that maybe you didn't want to go to 5% on some of those those highly priced items. So again, lots of tools that we're working on. The selling team is all working from home, but continue to work for all of you to bring amazing tools and capabilities to help you create the perfect listing and ultimately drive your listing to conversion. So with that, I'm going to turn it over, I think, to Alyssa.
Great. Thanks, Harry. Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be joining you all this morning or afternoon, wherever you may be, to share a little bit about what we're up to in payments. I think many of you will recall in early 2018, we shared the fact that we were starting our journey on payments. I can't believe the day is finally here where we are approaching full integration into our platform and bringing an integrated payments experience to all of our sellers in the US and around the world. It's something that I'm really passionate about. It is really about streamlining and simplifying your experience as sellers, as well as for our buyers. So one place for you all to manage your business on eBay, inclusive of payments. So one set of reports, one set of tax documentation, one customer service to interact with, one set of protections, and no more conflict between policies that may be resident on PayPal versus eBay and passing back and forth around those elements. And then of course for buyers, we simply just want buyers to have the local forms of payment that are most relevant for them and continue to streamline that experience. We know buyers, payments are not on their mind when they're shopping. They want to find that great item and they want to zip right through checkout. And we are going to continue to streamline and enhance that checkout experience to ensure that you're getting better conversion, more sales, and we're reaching more buyers for you all through our platform. We did share earlier this year that we are starting to expand around the world. You may recall the US was the first market that we launched in September of 2018. We expanded into Germany late last year, and we have shared the fact that we are now expanding into Canada, the UK, and Australia all this summer. So we're really rocking and rolling and starting to integrate the experience into our platform. So those of you interested in a little bit of stats, we are serving over 32,000 sellers now between the US and Germany, and we've already done over 3 billion in volume on the platform, and that's just through Q1, and that continues to grow as we bring more onto the platform. And we're thrilled to see we're already moving sellers through registration and pre-provisioning to get ready for the migration later this summer. So I think you all know we are going to be managing payments and integrated into the platform for the majority of all of you in the US this year. So many of you will start to receive notification in the coming weeks to get ready to start to provide the information that we need to ensure that there is no disruption and that this is really a smooth and seamless process. We are here to work with you through that process as we move into the new platform. And for those of you that may not receive an email in the coming weeks, know we will be continuing to add features and functionality that make it the right time for each of you. We are very cognizant of ensuring that we have the right set of features and functionality for each and every seller that we bring across into the new experience. And as Harry shared, that his team is hard at work at home around the world. The payments team as well is continuing to build the features and functionalities to make sure that we are able to serve each of your needs as you come into the new experience. So I know some of you are already on the new experience, and we are continuing to add new features as we go. So just this year already, we have enabled support for the global shipping program. I know that's important for many of you that ship internationally through that program. So really excited that that feature is now up and running. Through your feedback, we shared at the very beginning that we are doing this for you to create a better, more seamless, simplified experience on eBay. And we wanted to continue to listen to your feedback. We have already shifted the roadmap as a result of feedback we heard. So for example, we have integrated more flexible options into how you can receive your payments for your sales. We were sending those as a default to everyone daily. We know getting your funds quickly is important. However, reconciliation and simplification of doing all that bookkeeping is also critical. And many of you would prefer to do that on a weekly basis. So we have introduced that option as well. And we will continue to explore with you if there are incremental timeframes that would make sense that we want to add. Speed of payout, sorry. We're continuing to work on that as well. So we have accelerated payouts here more recently, and we will continue to refine and optimize that. Again, knowing it's really critical to have access to your funds. And it is different than the way it works with PayPal today. Of course, PayPal is a different model. It is a wallet where we know some of you may utilize those proceeds to otherwise purchase where PayPal is accepted. But for those of you that move your funds out of PayPal and back to your bank accounts, we're going directly to your bank account and bypassing sort of that way station along the way, utilizing similar rails to PayPal or any other processor out there to ensure that we're getting you your funds directly to your bank account as quickly as possible. We have also introduced utilizing the proceeds of your sales to pay for your shipping labels. And we will continue to look at ways that you can use those proceeds for things within eBay as well to streamline that process. Finally, talking about simplified fees, I know that in the early days we rolled out with a per item fee that we had some modifications to make sure that we contain that. We are moving to a per order fee. I know that's been on a lot of people's minds. So that will be there for July. So rest assured that adjustment is going in. You will not pay a separate fee to PayPal. I know there's been some confusion, and grant you, I know it's complicated. So we're here to continue to answer questions and ensure that we can address whatever may be on your mind. You will pay a single fee to eBay that will be inclusive of the type of fees that you paid PayPal historically. It'll be a single fee that you will pay to eBay. I know some of you that may be on the journey today, we do still have 2 separate fees, even if you're on managed payments with eBay. We are moving to a single fee. We were building out the capability to do that. It's fairly complex to ensure that we do that properly. And we will go ahead and withhold from the settlement the amount due for those fees to, again, simplify bookkeeping. You will continue to see a monthly invoice for things that are not transactionally oriented, like insertion fees or your store subscriptions. But the fees associated with your transaction will just be simply held back so that we will settle the proceeds minus the fees associated. Let's see, I think there were a few questions that were shared that continue to come up. PayPal will still be a form of payment for buyers on our site. Of course, a big mission for us has been to ensure that buyers have the flexibility to pay the way they want to pay. We have added Google Pay and Apple Pay. And as we've moved into other countries around the world, we have introduced in Germany some locally relevant forms of payment so that our German buyers, whether they're shopping from a German seller or they're coming to shop on the US site, they can use a form of payment that is relevant for them. We're going to continue to support PayPal as a form of payment. And that will still be fully managed through eBay. There will not be separate fees that you see associated from PayPal around PayPal as a form of payment. That will be settled to you just like a buyer utilizing their Visa, MasterCard, Amex, through Apple Pay, so on and so forth. They will continue to be able to utilize PayPal credit as well for some of you that have higher ASP items that you see a lot of buyers that want to have that financing option. Charity will be supported as we come out later in the summer in July. So that will be there as well. I have heard that's been on some people's minds. I spoke a little bit about funds availability, acknowledged it is a little bit different than with PayPal, where it sort of stops as a way station at a PayPal account and then you move it onto your bank account. We're going directly to your bank account and settling that electronically onto your bank account. So a little bit of a change there, but we are going just to your bank account, just like you would if you were moving your funds from PayPal onto the bank account. So I think with that, gave you a little bit of an overview of where we are. Want to be able to answer questions after Jordan provides you a bit of update on his end, and look forward to be invited back and continue to engage with you all as we move to this new experience. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Alyssa. And the questions are great. Keep coming. We're trying to answer them as fast as we can. We're trying to keep them as public as possible. Sometimes there's questions about your particular account, which we prefer to just obviously talk one-on-one. So anyone can reach out to me directly, mlevine@ebay.com, if you have a specific question about your account. But now I will hand it over to Jordan.
Thanks, Marnie. Melissa, it's great to have you here. Harry, thanks as always for giving us the intro. I think the more you spoke, the more questions I saw flying in on item specifics in Google. So I will
And
keep
I'm
this
trying to
short.
answer as many as I can right now.
Awesome, thank you. I will keep this short so we can get into the broader Q&A, because as many specific questions that there are in the chat, I see a lot where I think having Harry answer them, having Melissa answer them, I think will be beneficial for the group. So I will hit this quick. You saw in my blog post Q1 financials for eBay. eBay was having a good quarter before all of this started, and you heard Andy and Scott talk about that in earnings, and we've seen really strong sales, again, as we said publicly, in April, and so we're seeing good top line results, and I know many of you are seeing the same thing, but it hasn't been easy. A lot of change, a lot of adjusting to shipping and fulfillment and sourcing and uncertainty on inbounds, and so I'll just reiterate my thank you to all of you for how you've been adapting to looking after customers in these incredibly changing business environments. The categories driving growth, it's been amazing to see it happen from week to week. I heard a couple of customers saying like, hey, can you tell us, what we should be selling in a month? And the answer is like, I don't really know. Some of the things you would expect seasonally, it's not a surprise to see pools doing well, but to see outdoor pools growing this quickly is a surprise. This is the time of year when people are planting their gardens, but eBay sellers are sold out of seeds, hydroponic supplies, composters, all these things are just going like crazy. And so, if anything, everybody on this call probably has the best real-time intel on what's trending based upon what you're talking about in your social networks, what you're hearing about in your friends, from beekeeping to chicken raising to backyard gardens. Obviously a lot going on. Taking care of you. We talked last time around the protections we put in place for shipping, and I know many of you took advantage of the deferred billing option. I will touch on a little bit later in the Q&A for specific questions, but I'd say the number one thing that we continue to iterate on a day-to-day basis is just how we're handling the rapidly evolving shipping landscape. USPS, FedEx, UPS, DHL, they've been great partners for us, reaching out, letting us know where they've been running into issues. And so we've been adjusting delivery times across the country, not something you might see when you view your own listings on search page, because we can actually adjust it based upon the service level and on the buyer-seller zip code pair. So we can actually see if an item coming from Southern California is going to be delayed going into Minnesota. And so we're just actively watching the scan data through the network, the shipping data on a daily basis, and making adjustments. And there are a number of zip codes in the country we've really had to slow things down domestically based upon what we're seeing in those local areas. But while we've got your back, if you see things where you're like, this really doesn't make sense, as always, please just keep sending that feedback along, because it's helpful for us just to triage what is happening on the national level. And then, as I said yesterday, we are taking the strength and sales we're seeing in Q2 and starting to roll it into some more marketing campaigns to reach out and get buyer messaging going. And so, I don't think in my time at eBay, you were going to see me, lean into a giant national TV campaign or sponsor a Super Bowl ad. Those are really, really, really expensive. And we just haven't seen the ROI that makes me feel good about how your fees are being invested on things like that. But there's a lot we can do with digital video, radio, where we can get very targeted and actually get our message out there. And so starting this week, you're gonna through your various channels probably start to hear our message get out as we remind buyers that eBay is open, we have incredible selection, we never scaled that back. All of you, our sellers, are shipping quickly, and there's a lot that we should be proud about as a company. What you should be proud about are the businesses you're running, and we want to get that message out there. So Allison, if we could hit play on that radio spot, that'd be great.
We call them small businesses, but maybe we need a better name, because it's these businesses that are powering America right now. A lot of them had to shut their doors, but many of them are still open on eBay, getting people the things they need, and in return, getting the business they need to keep going. Our small businesses are getting it done, keeping you and themselves thriving. And that's no small thing. eBay, where America's small businesses live.
So to any Canadians we have on the call, we're going to be running the same campaign up in Canada, obviously replacing America with Canada. want to make sure we're getting our message out there to customers across the border. You may hear different versions of this. We test different things in the market, but I'm excited to get the message out there. I'm so proud of what all of you have been delivering to our customers and how you've been supporting each other. And I think there's never been a better time to talk about what is magic with eBay. So with that, Marnie, I'll hand it back to you.
Great, thank you so much. And keep the questions coming. I know a lot of questions have been answered real time, and we're still working feverishly. So I'm going to take it from the top. There's quite a few questions around shipping, and I know last time we had Stuart here and took us through a huge update of shipping, but there are quite a few questions. So this one is very specific to why doesn't eBay have a surcharge shipping on USPS Priority Mail for Alaska, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and U.S. territories, from Patrick Mahoney. Do we have that? We don't have the shipping team on. Jordan, do you have that one on the top of your brain?
I don't have the answer to that. I don't know, Harry, if you have any information. If not, I'm happy to take it back to the team and come back with a good answer.
I don't know that one off the top of my head.
See, you stumped us, Patrick. I love it.
I know. I actually do want to just talk a little bit about shipping on the backside of what Jordan said and just my own experiences. Here in the Northeast, our post offices, the Newark Distribution Center, Jersey City, the Long Island Distribution Centers are running at about 30% capacity. And so things are, we're printing shipping labels, and I'll just give you an example of a couple of sneaker sales that my son made this week. So the box was picked up, and by the way, if you don't know, we did add a link on the shipping label tab or page that will directly take you to requesting a pickup at home from the U.S. Postal Service. So you don't even have to go to the post office. It's worked awesome for us. We leave it on our front porch. It's one-day scheduling. You do it the day before. When they come and pick up the mail, they take the box for you. So it works amazing. And then they scan the tracking number and you know exactly where it is. So in this case, the box ended up at the Newark Distribution Center and it sat there for multiple days. My son took the initiative. He's a very open communicator with his buyers, and he basically just kept them updated. Hey, I called the post office. They said, listen, we're backed up. We're running at 30% capacity. It will go. We will update the tracking. And sure enough, 2 days later, they took it and it was delivered, and the buyer received it. And the buyer gave amazing feedback. Like, the communication was awesome. I really appreciate you keeping me up to date, even though there is tracking. The fact that you called the post office to check on it was key. And it was the same thing. We bought something from a seller on Long Island, and basically they had indicated, yeah, it's taking us 3 to 4 days just to we're so backed up on our own orders, just getting everything. And then the post office has picked it up and it's sat at the post office, again, with that 30% capacity. And then eventually we did receive it, the tracking updated. So, I think if you have open communication with your buyers, and as Jordan said, where we can, we'll update EDDs where we're seeing, in certain areas of the country, potentially a slowdown like we are here in the Northeast. But having that open communication with the buyer, I think, works incredibly well. That's been our experience. They've really appreciated it. I reached out to that particular seller. They gave me that update, so that way I wouldn't file an INR. And it's just giving them the benefit of the doubt, the extra time, because it is at the post office, right? The tracking number shows that. It's just we have to give the post office time to catch up. And that's not something that's really in our control. But by communicating with the buyer, it goes a really, really long way. And I think it saves from the buyer, filing an INR because they think the post office, has lost it when they actually have it.
Thank you, Harry. Yeah, I think we all have the examples like that. Thank you for the real life one. So I'm going to actually jump to some payments questions because we do have Alyssa, and I want to make sure that we get those questions answered with enough time. So from Elliot, regarding managed payments, if we have returns, refunds, will those be debited directly from our bank account?
The intent is that those will come out of your proceeds of sales that day. If in time there are not continued refreshed sales coming in, then we would go to the bank account eventually. But the intent is pretty similar to, I believe, how you experience, for example, something like PayPal today. where you have funds coming in, replenishing. As you have returns, they will get settled against that.
Great, thank you. There's a question about what looks like overseas buyers. So Philip, who's on, since I went over to managed payments, I've started to get messages from overseas buyers that can't check out via managed payments, but they can when using PayPal with other sellers.
So we may need to get a little bit more specific.
Yeah.
We can look into what the characteristics might be there. So now GSP is enabled. So if you are a seller that is opted into the global shipping program, that is live now. So that should be supported. Of course, some sellers ship to certain international markets, even outside of GSP, and that is available as well. So I'd very much like to get some more details on that so we can look into what might be going on there.
Great. All right, there's a question about managed payments new fee structure concerning and will be costing many sellers more money for no other reason that eBay will now be charging a final value fee on sales tax. So I'd love to just talk through, kind of how the majority of sellers will be saving money, where that money obviously is going and coming from. Alyssa or someone on your team, can you take us through that at a high level?
Sure. It is a little bit complicated because we are moving from the reality that you are paying two separate fees to two different companies today, and they're structured quite differently. So you have a set of fees that you pay to eBay, and you have a set of fees that you pay to PayPal. And in managed payments, again, this is a little bit different for the sellers that have come along the early sort of beta journey with us as we were developing this, because we maintain two fees as we've built to a single consolidated fee. But we will have one fee to list and sell on eBay. And one of the services embedded in that singular fee will be payments. It'll just be embedded in. So the fee that you pay to PayPal today on all of your payments that occur on eBay will go away. So for just like simplified purposes, let's call it, PayPal is 2.9 plus 30 cents as sort of their general rack rate. You will no longer pay 2.9 plus 30 cents to PayPal for every payment. At eBay, we will take what is your final value fee today, and that will be a new final value fee that will be inclusive of a payment for, of the value for payments that we are providing for you. And for the vast majority of sellers, that will be lower than the 2.9 plus 30 cents. Again, this is illustrative to sort of give you an example. Once it is fully built into the eBay fee. We will have some sort of like charts that will help make this easier for all of you to understand, because I fully appreciate it's complicated, and math, being home teaching kids now with like percentages and per item and all these things gets pretty complicated. So the team is working hard to make sure we have some simplified guides and explanations to help ensure that you're understanding how fees are changing, how billing is changing, because we recognize that it is a big change, right? We firmly believe that this is a much better and more simplified experience. We have worked really closely with the tens of thousands of sellers that are already on board, as well as prospective sellers, to really listen to your feedback and build it in, because we truly want this to be better, and we want it to be more simplified for all of you. At the same time, I fully appreciate change is hard, right? Even when we know it's better on the other side, it does mean some changes in the way that you manage your business on eBay, even as we get to a more simplified state. So we are here to continue to work with you to educate and answer questions as we transition into the new platform.
And listen, if I could just add to that, you know, like one of the things I sort of said on other different channels and with different customers is like the overwhelming number of customers will be paying less in total fees after this change. So this isn't some, you know, smoke and mirrors. There's no like trick of numbers in terms of how we're moving things over from PayPal. So, you know, Alyssa opened by talking how we're trying to drive simplicity in the rate card. It's kind of confusing right now. We charge you fees on shipping and on items, but not on other things. And so, yes, the fund of value fees, the bundled fee will apply to sales tax. But we took that into account when we set the rate cards. And so I can still tell you with sincerity that the bundled rate you see reflects all of that, and the overwhelming majority of sellers will still be saving money. And so who's not saving money? If you're a below standard seller at volume, I don't really want you getting volume discounts. So I'd rather you fix the customer experiences. If you have a very unique business model and you've negotiated something special with PayPal, you should probably let us know, because it's not our intention to do something that is of economic harm. But the fundamental move to managed payments is so foundational to the future of eBay and how it will allow us to do more for you and do more for buyers. This is not about how we make more per transaction and increase your total fees. There is a revenue shift from a payments provider to eBay as a result of this, but I would be shocked if almost everybody on this call wasn't actually paying less as a result of this. And so if you're looking at what we've announced and something seems like really wrong, you're like, oh my God, this is crazy. My fees are going up 20%, they're going up 10%, like something seems off. Please just reach out to us, give us your count, give us the example, and we'll look into it. It's what I've seen so far, every one of those that I've received, it has either fallen into the bucket of it's truly a unique situation, or there's so much changing, it just hasn't been clear on how all these puzzle pieces fit together. And that's where we've been trying to sharpen up our FAQs and provide more information. So if you see something that just doesn't look or feel right, it doesn't seem to align with the intent of what you're hearing from Alyssa and I and the rest of the team, please let us know.
Thank you, Jordan. That's great. Just continuing to read through the questions. Still a lot of questions on shipping that we will answer. Absolutely. If we don't get to them now, we will send out the answers to all these questions. Here's one. In managed payments, if there isn't enough money in the account to fund a refund, and if I have a credit card as my funding source on my selling account, can't I have any additional funds needed for the refund to be charged to that credit card and not my attached bank account? Should I read that again?
Yeah. So the functionality right now is first to look at proceeds coming in and to even await proceeds, you know, looking at the normal activity in someone's account. We don't want to be constantly pinging every single time. So we're looking at the normal flow of business and funds. Right now, if funds do not come in around issuing a refund, we will go and hit the bank account. We'll take it on advisement on can we look at what the functionality would look like, or is there feasibility to look at a card that is on file for your bills? So I will have the team take that on board and look at that, and we can circle back.
Great. A question from Danny. When will more information on charity payments be available? Currently, the percentage donated to charity is a reduction in final value fee. Will this be the same, or is it a whole new process coming into play?
So we'll have more details in, I think, just the coming days. We will be sharing more on the specifics of the charity program. And sorry, there's some construction going on at my house, and they're banging right outside the window. I was fearing that it would be my dogs barking. But we are working hard to ensure that we're supporting all the key elements of charity as it works today, while also looking at streamlining at the same time. So we'll have some more details in the coming days for you.
Somebody wants to get on managed payments. They're banging down your door.
I don't know what they're doing out there, but I'm like, oh boy.
Okay. Oh, here's what I do appreciate that. Oh, this is this isn't a question, but I'm going to say it. I do appreciate that eBay Managed Payments is not going to keep the fees if we have a refund. We have to refund a buyer. I've sold $200 items where I've had cancellations before shipment, losing $8 without even shipping an item since PayPal implemented the fee keep policy. I can't wait to move to managed payments as a result. So, excellent.
Great, we're excited to have you.
I know, exactly. Let's see. Sorry, guys. It's really easier. I love being on managed payments. All right, back to shipping. Oh, all right. I want to make sure. Does anyone else on here on the panel see any other specific questions to payments that we want to call out? My friends on my phone of friends. Anybody else see anything we should call out, or we?
Sorry, I'm on mute. Just from experience, a couple of things with respect to managed payments. I mean, I am on managed payments as a seller. I love it. It's awesome because it's so integrated into seller. And I'm not just saying that because I'm the head of selling and I have my my partner Alyssa on the wire with me, but truly I love the way that it operates. My shipping labels are paid from there, and I did have a refund or a claim that was processed. And I was just going back and looking at my payout history. And in that particular case, which was in April, I had a refund to somebody. And so I was actually negative. And basically it stayed negative. And then I had a sale April 20th. And so it offset the negative on that sale. And then I had some other stuff in there. And so I got eventually the net payout of labels, the refund that was distributed. Alyssa, I don't know what the window is, but that was like a 20-day window. So it didn't it just held the negative amount. It was like a wallet at that point. And then when I had an additional sale, it offset everything and I got the net amount of it, which was perfect. And I also, my son just shipped a pair of sneakers to Australia of all places. He sold them in one day, just to give you an idea of the demand still for sneakers, all on global shipping program, all through managed payments. And it worked 100%, because I think there was a question also about how do your listings get on the other eBay domains. So if you're opted into GSP, your listings are put onto the other domains. That's how we sold in Australia. There is search preference to local listings unless you directly list on the platform, but you are exposed on the other eBay sites when you opt into global shipping. And again, that all worked perfectly through managed payments. Buyer checked out from Australia in Aussie dollars. Everything was converted on the back end. I printed my shipping label, went through Kentucky, and is off with multiple tracking numbers, and is on its way to Australia. So that's just real.
I wish I was on my way to Australia, but that's another story for another time.
But I did want to talk about, there was a bunch of questions about item specifics that I'll just take for a second. I saw Joe asked a question about vintage. I'll have to look, Joe, with respect to the specific item specifics, for lack of better words, in terms of for Google Shopping. I know that they want item specifics, certainly item specifics. And if you're filling in the recommended and the required ones, that's what you kind of need to do. That's our recommendation. In clothing and other things or sneakers, they certainly want size and they want brand. And those things, if you notice that when you're on Google Shopping, a lot of the filters are selected automatically on their left-hand nav. It's very similar to our left-hand nav, and that's where item specifics come in key. I don't know the specific ones for vintage that they might be looking for, but again, the general recommendation would be provide as many of the item specifics as you can. The ones with the highest BDD or the buyer demand data is important. In general, with item specifics, what we're trying to do, because there was some questions about, it makes the listing flow challenging. And we know that. That's why we've spent the latter part of, almost half of last year and half of this year reworking the item specific section throughout the platform, including our APIs. And the first thing that we wanted to do was show you the importance of them. Why are they needed? Where are they used? The second was to focus your energy on the most important ones. I honestly don't need you to give me 50 of them or us 50 of them. If you gave us just the highest BDD ranked ones that are in recommended and required, that will significantly help the search visibility of your listing on the platform and off platform, okay? So that's the guidance. And then what we're trying to do is show you that in the listing tools everywhere that we can, and then to point out to you post-listing where you're missing certain ones. For those of you that have 50,000 listings, okay, we're going to make this data available to our APIs so that our third parties can take advantage of the same functionality we're putting in our listing flows. But to edit these item specifics in bulk like that, that's where this new Excel spreadsheet is going to come in incredibly handy, because it won't have the current limitations of Bear, which, by the way, we're enhancing to go from 500 to 2,000 listings, but even going beyond 2,000 listings to do, again, well more than that, tens of thousands of listings, or what really Excel could handle, right? To be able to have all of those with all of the same features that are in our listing flow, that is to provide the drop-down boxes of the values, to provide the BDD data directly in Excel, and let you edit using, copy and replace and all of those features that Excel provides, not just a CSV. This is a full-on Excel spreadsheet. It will make it a whole lot easier for you to edit massive amounts of listings in bulk, particularly where most of, a lot of those listings are the same thing. Like this, it's the same item specific across all of them. Editing and replacing, you'll be able to do using the features of Excel. So we totally recognize, that is a challenging part of the listing flow. It's asking for a lot of information, and there's a reason it's doing it. But the work that we're doing is to really focus it to the most important ones, right? The ones that will really help elevate the listing and ultimately get it converted. Because again, we know that takes a lot of time. So we want to provide the best tools to make it easier and to keep it very focused on the ones that you should give us.
Great. Thank you, Harry. I do want to hit on, I can't find the question, but it always comes up regarding PayPal working capital and what sellers need to do, can do, what our plans are. Alyssa, any thoughts on how that's going to move, as we move on to managed payments, how that's going to be managed?
Sure. First I will say eBay's not party to PayPal working capital. That is between our sellers and PayPal. So we don't have visibility to the sellers that are on that program. We do have some experience with how PayPal's been modifying their program, albeit they have not disclosed much of this publicly. They have stated with many sellers that it's a technical violation of the agreement to be on managed payments, because it diverts the settlement of their sales from a PayPal account. That said, we have not seen PayPal enforce that upon any sellers that have moved into the program. And in fact, PayPal has made accommodations to work with those sellers to keep them active in working capital, but with some modifications. That has been sort of through what sellers have shared with us in their conversation with PayPal. That said, we are in active conversations with PayPal on how we can find some more public common ground to give sellers comfort. Concurrently, we are also moving to introduce an alternate option for all of you that utilize PayPal working capital to a solution that we will offer through eBay and a partner that we believe will have very competitive and in fact better terms than many of you may see with PayPal working capital today. We know working capital is super critical to many of you in operating your businesses, and we want to ensure that we continue to have a solution for you that we can provision directly through eBay, as well as continuing to share with you information that we get from PayPal directly on adjustments they are intending to make to their program in order to support sellers that are moving into managed payments.
Great. Thank you very much, Alyssa. So Jordan, I'm going to kick it back to you. There was a question that came in, having been away and now returned, what are your impressions about eBay you returned to? And maybe a couple things that impressed you when you got back and a couple things you think might need a fresh look. And I'm going to add to this question, we also have a new CEO. So thought maybe you could touch on kind of, your impressions there. I know you've worked with Jamie in the past, but I'm sure this group would love to hear some first impressions. And yes, this is being recorded, so you should be nice to your new boss. But would love to kind of hear, obviously, the specific question Philip asked, but also adding in the new CEO component.
Yeah, totally. And it's actually perfect to have this group of people together to answer this question. So I got that question a lot last summer when I first returned. What did you see in your first 3 months? What surprised you? What do you love? What do you hate? What do you want to fix most? And I will tell this group the same thing I told a Wall Street Journal reporter. One of the things that surprised me the most on the upside was actually the work that Alyssa and team are doing on payments. This is a huge change for us as a company. I never had a second of doubt that we needed to have a separate solution from PayPal to truly customize our payments experience for our buyers and for our sellers. But man, as many of you know, eBay is built up over 25 years with all kinds of crazy different solutions around the globe. Like, this is a complicated problem. And it's been amazing to see the progress. And like, I'm not saying that just because Alyssa and team are on here. Like I've said in other forums, that's been really impressive. One of the things that's disappointed me or concerned me, again, this is not new information for those of you who asked me this before. I think we like oversimplified eBay in places. I've talked about like return policies where we don't really differentiate anymore between, a collectible, an antique, a high-end comic book, a TV, a saddle, vintage magazines. All of these have nuances. And so while I don't want to have hundreds of different return policies and confuse our buyers, I think we lost a little bit sight of how we need to differentiate and reflect all the different business models so that we can meet the retail expectation of buyers that is appropriate in that category for those specific items. And so, whether it's policy changes, site and product changes, how we change the listing flows for specific verticals, how we're changing the front end. Harry's talking a lot about sneakers, obviously cool stuff going on in there. You are going to start to see and feel a different eBay as we customize our experience, our policies for all the nuance of our inventory. And the foundation of that, it's the tech that Harry and team are building, and it's a new payments platform that Alyssa and her team are driving towards. To answer the Jamie question, I'm super excited. I think if you combine what I just said with what my biggest fear would have been, my biggest fear would be that we get a CEO who comes in and says, hey, eBay can take on Amazon and here's what we're going to do. There's a lot of big e-commerce companies and what they do it really well. You want to get groceries delivered same day, next day. eBay's probably not going to be the place to do that. You want to access hundreds of millions of items, supporting Main Street sellers from around the country, find the unique, the hard to find, incredible assortment. Like, that's where eBay shines. And from the conversations I've had with Jamie, both since he's been back, but also just in our time at Walmart musing about what eBay could be, I know he's going to be really excited to sort of drive us towards that direction. Very smart and passionate guy, and if you ever have a chance to see him in a more social setting, there may be some top sellers you might run into who were at a summit with him in Long Beach years and years ago. He's a crazy piano player, not like I can play piano, but like actually stop the lounge kind of like, whoa, is that person a professional piano player? Billy Joel type thing. So if you ever see our new CEO in a social setting and there's a piano nearby, you will probably know where his center of gravity will move towards. But I personally feel very fortunate, and I think our broader community should be really excited to see someone like Jamie back, who understands what made eBay great to begin with, and why some of the false narrative of us trying to turn into something we weren't just couldn't work. And I think it's going to be so powerful for all of us, and we should have a lot more fun once we get deeper along on these changes.
Great, thank you, Jordan. So sellers, we are a little bit over time, and so I appreciate you taking the time and staying on a little bit longer. It doesn't look like we had anybody drop off, so thank you for bearing with us. And I'd like to thank Harry, of course. Alyssa, thank you so much. I think you've debunked some myths. I'm sure opened up even more questions, right? Because that's how this payment thing goes. But we are here for you sellers to answer these questions. We want your feedback, of course. Like Jordan said, the intent is not to, to raise prices or make things more difficult. The intent is all about payments in one place. You're protected. You will, majority of sellers obviously will favor well on eBay, and the ones that don't, as Jordan said, maybe for good reason. So thank you again. Thank you to Allison and Liz and the broader team, of course, for setting this up. And we will definitely come back and do this again. We will be sending out another survey just to get direct feedback. We will be sending out the answers to the remaining questions. I know there's still quite a few out there, a lot more on payments, a lot on shipping. So we'll get Stuart and his team to answer those as quickly as possible. But again, thank you for your time. It's great talking to you all, and we'll talk again real soon.
Awesome. Thanks everyone so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.